Imagine a paradise plagued by one of the highest murder rates in the world. Jamaica, the gem of the Caribbean, isn't just a tourist hotspot, it's also a place where, between January 1st and November 23rd, 2024, 1,039 people have been murdered, and in 2023, 60.9 out of every 100,000 people fell victim to homicide. That's the highest rate in Latin America and the Caribbean. But the shocking truth? Crime doesn't just steal lives, it robs nations of their future. Jamaica's murder count for 2023 stood at 1,393. That's 1,393 dreams shattered, families broken, and communities left in fear. Violent crimes like armed robbery and sexual assault are alarmingly common. What's fueling this crisis? Firearms. Guns are rampant, and most drug and gang-related crimes involve their use. But Jamaica is not alone. Across the Caribbean, nations like Trinidad and Tobago grapple with similar issues. With a homicide rate of 39.4 per 100,000 people in 2022, Trinidad recorded over 600 murders in just 1 year. Guyana faces rising concerns over violent crime, including armed robbery, which affects its citizens and businesses alike. Haiti, meanwhile, is contending with an alarming surge in kidnappings and gang violence, leaving thousands displaced. Moving further afield, Latin America is the most violent region globally outside of war zones. Nations like Honduras and El Salvador have long been plagued by gang violence, while Mexico battles drug cartels in brutal clashes that destabilize communities and economies alike. According to Natalie Alvarado, head of Citizen Security and Justice at the Inter-American Development Bank, and Ana Maria Ibanez, the bank's vice president of sectors and knowledge, violent crime acts like an economic tax. In their joint column for Project Syndicate, Crime is Punishing Latin America's Economies, they revealed that crime costs the region a staggering 3.4% of its GDP annually. That's $192 billion, enough to cover 78% of the region's education budget. This burden is shared widely. For example, Trinidad and Tobago's spending on law enforcement and security is among the highest in the region, yet crime remains pervasive. Meanwhile, Colombia pours resources into combating drug-related violence, and El Salvador invests heavily in anti-gang operations. The cost of crime transcends borders, creating a shared regional crisis. The ripple effects are devastating. Businesses in the region spend 1.6% of GDP on security, and women exit the workforce due to safety concerns and educational outcomes that nosedive in high-crime areas. Foreign investors, spooked by instability, pull out. Even the environment suffers, with criminals exploiting natural resources unchecked. The cost of crime is not just economic, it's societal. Reducing crime isn't just a moral imperative, it's an economic opportunity. Alvarado and Ibanez argue that if Latin America and the Caribbean lowered their crime rates to European levels, they could unlock $57 billion annually, resources that could transform communities and foster sustainable growth. The International Monetary Fund supports this, showing that cutting homicide rates to global averages could boost economic growth by 0.5 percentage points. Brazil has already proven that change is possible. By implementing data-driven, results-based policing, they slashed homicide rates by up to 17%. This wasn't just a policy shift, it was a lifeline. What about Jamaica? Imagine using similar strategies to target gang violence, improve the efficiency of police spending, and invest in vulnerable communities. Across the region, Success stories like Brazil's offer hope for what's possible with evidence-based interventions. If this video has opened your eyes to the true cost of crime, imagine what could be achieved with a united effort. Don't let this message end here. Subscribe now for more insights into Jamaica's and the region's challenges and the solutions we all need to know. Let's spark a movement for change together. One of the biggest challenges is that crime knows no borders. The numbers prove it. In 2022, the homicide rate across Latin America was 19.2 per 100,000 people, more than 3 times the global average. Criminal networks operate seamlessly across countries, while governments struggle with fragmented responses. The Inter-American Development Bank's Alliance for Security, Justice and Development is a game-changer. By uniting 18 countries, including Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, the alliance seeks to share strategies and resources. Regional cooperation is the key to dismantling the crime networks that straddle borders and affect every nation in the Caribbean and Latin America. Here are 2 bonus facts. 1. Did you know that reducing crime in the Caribbean could also reduce immigration rates? Safer communities mean fewer people feel the need to flee for better opportunities abroad. 2. Shockingly, the indirect costs of incarceration, like lost productivity, extend across generations, perpetuating cycles of poverty and inequality. Jamaica and the Caribbean are at a crossroads. Rich in biodiversity, minerals, and agriculture, the region holds extraordinary potential. But to rise above the shadow of crime, we need bold, coordinated action. The solutions are within reach: targeted policing, social programs, and institutional reforms. Let's envision a Jamaica not defined by its crime rate, but by its resilience and innovation. A place where the headlines shift from violence to victory. The future of Jamaica and the Caribbean depends on our collective action. Subscribe, share, join the conversation, and check out other videos on this channel. Together, we can make change happen.